What's the dumbest thing you've done in your 20s? Decided against contributing to my company's matching 401k. Cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars. Everyone wants to hear about dumb stuff like driving 8 hours to get with someone you liked only for it to end up being a booty call. However, I personally think it was my general lack of effort to build any good habits like exercise. Your body likes routines, and my routine of gaming for 15 hours a day was not one I should have cultivated. Worked way too hard and burnt out. Sacrificed family time. Sacrificed health. Need to pace yourself at the age of 20-30. I wanted to say so many things, but I read someone forgot to eat pizza in Italy. All of a sudden my dumbest thing wasn't so dumb, it even cured my depression. Thanks for all the upvotes and awards, guys. I took powerlifting way too seriously. I spent 7 years in gyms, for hours every day, skipping every social occasion and holiday. I didn't get as strong as I wanted to. I just got all sorts of physical issues to deal with for the rest of my life now. Took a $12,000 loan to buy a motorcycle. Didn't want to pay for comprehensive insurance, bike got stolen 4 months later. Not getting help for my depression sooner. Spent the entire first half of my 20s in the darkest place I can imagine, and all I needed to feel better was some meds once a day. I was hopelessly addicted to heroin. That led to lots of shenanigans. Robbing summer rentals in the winter was probably the worst of it. I was eventually caught and served time. 14 years clean and living an extremely normal life now. Not studying properly. At the time studying for 7 years seemed like a lifetime, but now at 30 I wish I had done it. Don't have the money or flexibility to do it now. Edit. Thanks for all the upvotes, victory and drank my way through my entire 20s. After 25 it wasn't really fun anymore, but that didn't stop me. Drank for another 5 years. My 20s are a total blur splattered with some fun times here and there. But mostly just me running away from things with alcohol. Almost 17 years later and not one drop. My 30s and 40s are exceptional better. Drink and drive. A lot. Never got busted. Quite stupid. I am now 5 years sober unrelated. I say this from the bottom of my heart. There are friends, taxis, Uber, Lyft etc. Utilize these for yourself. Got married to the wrong woman. Never get married to someone who isn't sure if they love you. That person is damaged and needs space. Broke up with what may as well have been the greatest girlfriend I've ever had. 3 years later I'm still single and I think about her from time to time. Drove 187 miles to drop her a scarf back that she left at my student house. Didn't even get a thanks. Just an Instagram story of her wearing the scarf out that night. Dated the wrong people for access to sex. Knew at the time they were problematic and it led me on a path of a lot of trauma and having the wrong view of the world. That took a while to dig out of. Wasted it with the wrong person. Met at 22, married at 25, divorced at 28. My 20s were completely lost to an abusive marriage. Tintin would not recommend. Spent too much time thinking about the world's country's issues rather than figuring out how I wanted to make a living. You always think you have more time until life hits you in the face, and then you realize how much time you actually don't have. Went on a date with a girl who kissed me first, flirted, and after making out in the car I noticed a tongue ring. She asked if I ever kissed anyone with a tongue ting before. I said no, but it feels cool, to which she replied it feels good other places too, and I said I'll take your word for it. You'll take your word for it. Maxed out my 5,000 credit card on a girl so she could go to school and not graduate. I'm not with anymore for love. Lol. After some years my credit is back over 700 again, but I will definitely never do that again. Lol. Continually deny my abilities and skills to be humble. After a while I started to believe that I was in fact worthless. Do nothing, be nothing. I hit 30 and it was like a switch went off. I saw everything objectively and turns out I'm a pretty great dude. Turns out mistaking self-doubt for humility is a pretty fucked up poison. Not making long or medium term plans. Edit. Wasn't expecting this many upvotes for a throwaway comment. There's no one right way to do life. Just don't be a cunt. While I'm here, fuck Vladimir Putin. Slava Ukraini. Heroiam Slava. Gone to grad school. Nothing like getting paid a poverty wage to live in the most expensive city in the country. Lots of random sex, fortunately no pregnancies or infections, but I think I was too risky and practically saying yes to everything. Married the wrong one. Had a kid together cause it would make me happy, so we will be happy again. 6 months later I'm still not happy, I want a divorce. So 17.5 years of child support, but worth every dime to escape. Ruined all my early friendships being an out of control drunk. Gave up the ones I had left when I got sober. 7 years sober in September. It took 3 years for people to stop calling me to come party. It's been 4 years since I've talked to anyone that I didn't bump into at a funeral. Take out predatory student loans, only debt I have outside of a mortgage, car loans, and one I will probably always have due to the interest. Turning 21 soon, and I can already say the dumbest thing I've done is not working as hard as I should for my uni work. Gave up on my first marriage. We had problems, and I didn't know about undiagnosed bipolar disorder. I know now, and maybe if we had gotten her help things would have been different. I never got over her completely, and for decades I thought about her all the time. Not every day, but I bet it was at least every week. I'm in my 20s and really getting addicted in sports betting. Guess I should stop while I'm still in control. Snuck into a construction site and drove a steamroller around for a while. I couldn't believe they just left the keys in it. Only thing I can think is making 20k in stocks and throwing it all on a make or break deal that didn't come through. This was pre-house and pre-kids. Money seemed to be much more readily available, but once some bills start to appear, having spare cash gets harder and harder. That 20k would be very helpful right now. Apart from that, I'm happy with every decision I've made. My 20s were a wild time. The dumbest thing I did looking back was probably getting married to my ex-wife. I should have seen the signs of her mental illness, but I ignored them. It did have some very positive impacts on my life. I wouldn't be where I am today, but overall, we shouldn't have gotten married. Drank and drove a lot. Got busted for it once and should have learned my lesson but didn't. Never got busted again, but it's still the dumbest thing in the world to do. Call an Uber, folks. Got depressed. I know it's not in my control, but it sure is dumb. 10 prime years of my life wasted because of that stupid fucking thing. Couldn't study, thus no job. Tried, failed. Tried again, failed again. The bitch of it is that there's no reason. It just happened. I was going on about my day and it was as if all the lights inside me went out. Here's to trying again. I got a great job right out of college with a good 401k plan. I spent every extra penny I had tattooing my whole body. Didn't start putting money away for retirement till my 30s. I estimate my tattoos cost me well over $100,000 by this point, counting for missed outgrowth that would have happened. Never too late to start saving. Arrested at 20 and convicted by the feds of selling MDMA. Spun wheels doing nothing productive with my life before finally doing the smartest thing I did in my 20s, enrolled back in school at 29. It's now 3 years later and I'm graduating with a degree in comp sci this summer. Not buy a house. Back in 01-03, houses in my old neighborhood were selling for $250,350 20 years later they're worth $1.20, $1.5 million. Worked for a shitty employer that paid me minimum wage and treated me horribly from the ages of 20 to 29. Should have left that job sooner. Drove 80 miles an hour through a blizzard to see a band 3 hours away. Hit a patch with black ice and slid right off the interstate into the snow-filled ditch. I was lucky a couple of Canadians going through SD saw me and helped pull me out. And that the only thing that broke was my power steering belt. Get engaged to my toxic ex at 22. No idea what the fuck I was thinking. At a damn 27. No regrets. It's built a lot of character into me that you cannot learn any other way. There's something about the raw value of experience for this matter. Crashing into a tree off 10 Xanax and not fleeing the scene, resulting in a DUI that still hinders my job applications to this day. Not take a year off between high school and college to figure out exactly what major I want. I have changed my major like 10 times and now I'm seeing my classmates graduate or move on to med school, and I'm just now piecing together what I want to do. Marrying my on again off again when I accidentally got her pregnant. I mean, I don't regret my kids in the least. But that 5-year marriage was the worst time of my life. Took a group of friends on a cross-country trip at my expense. I should have listened to my oldest brother and invested the entire sum of money into Google stocks and just held on to them forever. I had $21,000 at the time and it would have been worth $55 million by today. 25 now. So far so good. Though I regret missing out on possible relationships experiences with some wonderful people because I was too socially unaware at the time. Quit studies after I won $179,000 in a lottery. Partied hard and had 4 girls in the rotation. Fast forward 2 years, I was 40 pounds overweight, bankrupt, working at a minimum wage job with 0 girlfriends. I was a B student and could have had a decent career. Reading all these replies as a dude in my 20s. Thanks for the heads up. Don't forget it's never too late to do something. Tried to buy drugs. Female dealer took my money, called the cops and claimed I was robbing her. Went to jail. Lawyer and detective eventually got the dealer to admit she lied. All charges dropped, but lost my career and friends. Very expensive and hard lesson learned. I still have 4 years left, so I may do some very stupid shit. The dumbest thing I've done in 6 years is probably getting addicted to junk food. My 20s was fraught with mistakes, punctuated by random, accidental successes that set me up to be a very wise man in his 30s. I always embrace the "it's not how you fail, it's how you get up" mantra, and boy did I put that into overdrive. I'm glad I learned from my mistakes, I guess.